Hey guys, the Chicken is here. We're back today with another Boom Beach video. In today's video, guys, we are going to be talking about log jams. All about log jams. So, you might not know what that means. We're going to explain it. So, you know how this season we had that period of time, and kind of in like a lot of the recent seasons, especially after the China split, I think that just made everything more apparent. We have had these log jams where, you know, it's just everybody stuck together. And we've talked about it before, you know, getting stuck in the pack, getting, kind of trapped with everybody, and like everybody's got the same tech and all that stuff. Yeah, and I know a few of you made some comments on yesterday's video specifically about this. Also, yes, I'm going to be changing the bombardiers to mechs. I believe that's what the original recommendation was. Also, we have a Tank Mania on right now, which is, you know, whatever. Doesn't mean anything for those of us IT folks, because IT, as we learned this week, gets people very upset. So I'm not going to say anything more about that. But yeah, so the log jams, right? So, you know, this season, last season, a few of the other seasons, we've really started to notice this kind of trend in warships where it's basically like a rush to 18 out of the gates, and then from there it's kind of just rush to 18 out of the gates, and then, you know, it's like you're either collecting in diamond and you're going to be doing really well, or you're going to collect in gold and you're going to have to grind really hard for the rest of the season. And it's not to say that, you know, you can't get your way out of gold. I've definitely done that, you know, more than enough times to prove to myself that it's not, you know, it's definitely not as easy, nor is it as fun, in my opinion, which is the bigger deal. But it's, you know, definitely apparent, and definitely something that, you know, we have to deal with. And it's a tricky, you know, it's kind of complicated how it works. I'm going to do my best to give, you know, my take on some of the problems. But I think what happened, we got 2 crystals there. That was wild. I think what happened was, you know, when we had the seasons back with China, we had an issue with people getting to legendary too early during the season, right? That's why they introduced locks on the ranks. So it's like the people at the top couldn't get to diamond and then couldn't get to legendary, and just, you know, keep going and going and going and going and going, and you know, getting so far ahead of the people, the pack, in terms of tech, that it made it impossible to catch them, and yeah. It made it impossible to catch up with them because they just had too much tech. And sometimes, you know, that would play into the matchmaking too, where, you know, you're a 23 or whatever, and you're matching up with, you guys have experienced this, with like a legendary 2 player or something like that, just because, you know, there's 200 or 300 people in that player pool. If you let the, you know, if you play enough games, you're going to get that bad matchmaking at some point. So, yeah. So I think part of the reason that it's so apparent now that we get stuck all together is because without China, and with those locks still in place, I think the locks are a problem, is kind of where I'm going with this. It forces everybody to stay in the same spot. So rather than, you know, I honestly forget if there's a diamond lock on day 1. I don't think that there is. I think it's just legendary locks. But yeah, so it prevents somebody from getting legendary in like day 3 or 4 or something silly. But also at the same time, you know, we want people to be able to push up, because if we're stuck at, you know, if we're all stuck at 20 all together, for example, what's going to happen? Nobody's really going to get ahead. They're all going to start to be in the same spot, and that, you know, log jams just going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, where everybody has the same tech, and that's when we get into, you know, the win-loss, 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 win-loss thing, where it becomes really difficult to progress. Now, the way around that is to play a bunch. If you play for 8 hours straight, you can eventually, you know, you'll catch a streak, you'll catch some matchmaking, you know, whatever. Obviously, skill is a huge factor as well, but it definitely plays a big part into it, these log jams. So, you know, I think, yeah, I think that tech gap is the biggest thing. And, you know, for the pro players, I'm sure they find it frustrating to have to sit there and wait because the lock hasn't expired yet, which is, you know, a minor thing in the grand scheme of the actual game, and, you know, the average player like us. The idea is that with removal of the lock, or maybe putting it back further, something like that, it just opens up that floodgate, right? It opens up the floodgate, prevents that log jam of people just piling and piling up at the same level at the same tech, and it allows the top guys to go through, and then you start to get more balance in the matchmaking in the season. That's my idea anyways. This one I'm not as certain about as yesterday and the day before's video, so I'm not saying this is concrete, hardcore evidence. I'm just, you know, giving my opinion on, you know, kind of how that works. Because I do think, you know, it is a problem kind of because it can be annoying. And it just feels like when you don't rank up for a while, I feel like a lot of people probably stop playing during that period because they're like, oh, you know, I screwed up somewhere and, you know, this isn't fun. I'm not going to play if I'm not able to move forward. But at the same time, you obviously have to balance that. You can't be just ranking up endlessly. That wouldn't make sense either. So it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing, but I'm interested to see what you guys think of that. So there we go, guys. We are at, we're still in the top 200 with 2 days left. We've only gone down like 40, 50, well, I guess 80 positions. So not very much at all considering we parked like 4 days ago. So pretty crazy, pretty crazy. I don't typically park this early. I know a lot of people are mad at me for not like continuing to play the season, but there's no reason to. I'm not going to get ahead now. If I jump back in now, I'm certainly going to lose. So, yeah. I always try to get to the highest point that I know I can get that season, and then stop. If it's enough for top 500, then stop. That's mostly what I'm going after. So, but yeah. So you guys let me know what you think of that down below in the comments. We're going to get into some mech and laser ranger goodness. Let's see. Alright, let's throw some critters out, because those laser rangers are going to be coming up quick. Quickly. And let's go over here. And shock there, a couple second wins, medkits. I went so long this season without having medkits, I forgot actually how good they were. And how helpful they are to laser rangers, because the rangers typically, you know, they can eat, what, 2 mines? So it's really nice to be able to heal them up, and then they can just keep going. It makes it a lot easier. Obviously, we didn't have the tech to do that this season. There was, you know, medkits were kind of a dead-end node, and there's too much other stuff that we needed. Maybe medkits would have been better than grenadiers, probably, in the long run, but here's where we're at, so... yeah, that's basically all I had to say today, guys. So I want you guys to give me your feedback on what you think of the log jams when you get stuck at a rank and you can't progress to the next one. So yeah, let me know what you think of that, you know, kind of what I said, and shout out to Pirate Pete for kind of explaining this to me. And yeah, like I said, I want to know what your guys' thoughts are. Do you think, you know, those rank locks have something to do with it? Do you think I'm way off? That's totally something else. Either way, let me know down below in the comments. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it if you throw in that code CHICKEN in the shop, and we'll catch you the next one. Chicken out. Back.